Let's go. Welcome to the Cage Nation. Welcome to the Cage Nation. Welcome to the Cage Nation. No one can drop us, no one can stop us. We are the warriors, no one can top us, no one can rock us. We are the warriors, no one can drop us, no one can stop us. We are the warriors, no one can top us, no one can rock us. We are the warriors.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Stage AE. It's Cage Nation TV, our recap episode of Gladiators of the Cage, North Shore's Rise to Power 5. Well, not the usual gang is here. Of course, Albert Cameron, Drew Shannon, Rob Lynn, and special guest with us,
Johnson.
My favorite judo coach that I've had.
No, not no.
Special as in doesn't happen every time.
I don't remember special.
It's
Good enough.
Oh, I think we always looked at Rob as like our technical advisor, but it's nice to know that we got the man who taught Rob everything it is. So I think we got a lot of great insight coming from this episode. Top to bottom, I think it was a really good fight card.
Most definitely, top to bottom. Pretty big bouts we had tonight. Middleweight title fight between Dan Kakuta and Brandon Lux. The heavyweight title fight between Steve Mowry and Tavares Gordon.
Yeah.
Where I'm telling you, quote of the night has to be Tavares Gordon's coach, who told him, and I quote, "Bo, you better start throwing punches or I'm going to beat the shit out of you on the way home." There you go.
And that's a long ride.
Way to home is North Carolina.
Yeah.
It's a long
14 hours.
So that's one hell of a beat.
If you like those comments, you need to hear Cordell talk to his people about it. Oh my God.
And of course,
I love you, Cordell.
And of course, the main event tonight between Eric Calderon and Mike Wilkins, top to bottom, unbelievable. Now, I got a question for all you guys. Mike Wilkins was on a complete devastation card. Do you think it's a trend that guys from our neck of the woods are being picked up by the like promotions, bigger promotions, or is it just good luck? Is it just perfect timing?
I think Mike lives there. I know he's an electrician, and I don't think that it's anything that he was from our area. I think he was just this area, and our area was having MMA. You know?
So right.
Yeah, I'd say so. I really like Mike. You know, he's a good fighter. Great school and everything. And I always razz him, shout out to Wilkins Electric. And I didn't think he said it tonight, but here he did say it. So
I think from our area we do have a little bit of a big fish in small pond syndrome. Ethan Goss lives in Petersburg near Huntington. He came to fight in Altoona. Next thing you know, he's fighting in Pittsburgh. Daryl Orchard, who's never fought outside of Harrisburg or Altoona, kicks his way to Bellator. I think that our guys in the Altoona area, the guys who are being trained by the Diggin Brumbads, who have the judos under Pat Johnson, I think these guys are finally getting into the rhythm. And with MMA expanding the way it is again, because I mean, when the Ultimate Fighter hit, TV networks and everybody was trying to buy up anything MMA, just because it was working for Spike TV. Well, that kind of petered off, and we saw that with the death of Affliction, death of the Elite XC, death of the IFL. Well, now we're starting to get that groundswell back up again, and small promotions are doing it right this time. I think our guys from the Altoona area are just maturing into their opportunities.
I think Pennsylvania just in general. I mean, Pennsylvania is known for wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a wrestling state. What else is Pennsylvania known for? The workout. All the fighters in Pennsylvania have a workout. And what they're doing now is just cutting. I don't want to say getting rid of the weeds, but they're just turning the bush a little bit and picking the ones. I mean, you look at from our area, Pinnacle, Gladiators, all them are moving up. They are definitely moving up, and it's from these little shows. They're the Altoona curve of the Pirates. I agree with that.
And I think another thing that not just Altoona, but the state of Pennsylvania is good at is mixed martial arts. Not even just that, but women's mixed martial arts as well.
Oh yeah. Well, consider where we're at right now. We're in Stage AE, which is right next door to Heinz Field.
Exactly.
Three Rivers Stadium, which is right underneath where we need to be. I think we're like, what, a 10-minute drive to the Consol Energy Center?
it depends on traffic. It could be 7 hours.
But Pittsburgh has got their finger on the pulse of really big sports in general.
Right.
Why should combat sports be any different? Mixed martial arts is a sport that's coming into its own. It only makes sense that MMA has a great venue like Stage AE. you start thinking about like, okay, well, we had the Blair County Convention Center out there, we have the Jeff Moss. Wherever in Pittsburgh would you have an area like that that's not too big, it's not too small, and I think Stage AE is the correct answer for that.
Right.
Yeah, not a bad seat in this place.
Not a bad seat at all.
I look around at all the areas; they look good.
I think this is an incredible venue for mixed martial arts. I mean, it's an incredible venue for just about anything, concerts and whatnot. But yeah, as far as picking a venue for mixed martial arts, Gladiators of the Cage, I think make the right decision looking up at Stage AE.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the only place in Pennsylvania could be better would be State College. The reason you can't do it in State College is you can't sell it.
Right. Because it's on campus, it's it's dry.
Oh, as someone who lives in State College, I would love to get in my car, go to the BJC, and see if they can have it.
I think I'm probably the only person of our bunch that maybe feels differently. That I don't think it would go over as well at these places that it's thought to, and it's just okay. The alcohol, you take that out of it,
Right.
And let's wipe that off the slate. You have an influx of college students, and they're in and they're out and all that. Okay, if you hit it during school time, you're going to hit your MMA fans and all that, right? But those same MMA fans are probably the same people that the schools are bringing to the places out of town. With that said, okay, what about the percentage of the student population that really isn't interested in this mixed martial arts?
Yeah.
No, I understand that.
Here's why I'm going to disagree with you, Rob. And again, like I always defer to you. I think you got great points. What makes fights successful is the population going to see local fighters.
I agree.
In State College, we've got Team Type Fitness, which Ethan Goss fights out of, Mike Putnam, Tyler Saltzman fought out of. You have Central PA Mixed Martial Arts, which had Dan O'Neill and a couple other really, really good fighters.
Without the resume of the schools that are up in that area, let's talk about a fight that took place in that area, Tussey Mountain.
I think that was poor promotion. I think that was terrible. Because, I mean, considering that I like to think that I have a great, not great, but I'd like to think that I have my mind wrapped around events in my area. If I didn't find out about it through, like, my methods of checking the underground or checking Mature Dog, if it didn't get to me,
Who wants to go watch an MMA fight outdoors at the beginning of winter? They were making snow
Right.
next week.
And I have it on good authority, by the way, that Tussey Mountain will never have another one of those again. They will never have an MMA event.
if you go to our State College champs on Fight Night for UFC, whenever you get, the place is always packed. I mean, there's a reason why if the fight's happening on Saturday, you got to make a call by Monday or you're risking not getting a seat.
Right.
State College also draws from Phillipsburg, Tyrone to a degree, Altoona. I think we have enough cross traffic.
If you have something
It
major
was almost
there,
like Al, then Tuna, the fish.
if you have something major there, you're within 2 hours. It's just about it.
Exactly.
Well, that was the only reason I disagree with your point. Is just that if it's the MMA that's going to bring the people to, because of State College, there was an event, and poor promotion aside, if it's the Panacea that you're saying it is, why didn't?
Well, venue. I think Pat has a great idea too. Venue has a lot to do with it.
I agree there too.
Venue
100%.
has a lot to do with it.
I was cold photographed.
I know on a first-hand basis, Grapplers Quest died.
Yeah.
Well,
Brett Hall.
world's largest, biggest.
I think Brett Hall would be a perfect place for Grapplers Quest. It'd be great.
All right, on that note, I said we take a break. We're going to come back. We will have the results of tonight's action from top to bottom. An excellent card here at Stage AE, where we are at for Gladiators of the Cage, North Shore's Rise to Power. We'll see it right there. Cinco. We'll be back with more Cage Nation TV. Welcome back to Cage Nation TV, our special coverage of Gladiators of the Cage, North Shore's Rise to Power 5 here at Stage AE. Drew Shannon, Albert Cameron, Rob Lynn, our special guest, Pat Johnston. Welcome, by the way.
I forget myself.
That's okay, it's been a long night.
He endured
Pat,
a
again.
long ride down here with us. The poor guy was punished for hours.
Again, thanks for coming along, Pat.
Thank you guys. And it was probably number 3 best fight card I've seen in best man.
I think that's fair.
And number 1 was the one I put on in complete devastation 2, whatever that was. But
Let's talk about the event tonight. From top to bottom, another great card. Let's go into our amateur bouts first. And Albert, I will go to you as far as the results are concerned and the
Okay.
pertaining particulars. We kicked it off with Corey Vale taking on Marcus Fisher. Marcus Fisher making his debut tonight.
Yeah. Corey Vale ended up getting an unanimous decision over Marcus Fisher, and I think what made Marcus Fisher really, really kind of interesting to kind of watch is he has a very similar style to Dan Kikuta. He trains at a right extreme with Dan Kikuta, came out wearing the tie shorts, he had the same kind of combat meter. And I think that might have been a little bit unfair to Marcus Fisher to try to carry that, almost have that stigma of, oh, well, he's going to be another Dan Kikuta, and it's mine. Marcus Fisher's always going to want to fight to be Marcus Fisher. What I think Corey Vale had is Corey Vale had great ground control.
Absolutely did. He had some awesome takedowns. When he took you down, he kept you down.
He did.
I mean, it was probably one of the best MMA Gladiators I've seen in a long time.
But when he took you down, he took you down with the intent of proving he wasn't a whip land. There was no land
He was
break.
constantly working.
Yes.
There was definitely working.
At one point in the fight, they started trading slam takedowns. Vale ended up getting two. Vale scored one. Fisher scored another. Vale scored one to answer. And I think that's how they ended up closing the round. Pat, I know you and I had a lot of conversation about, like, okay, at what point are you going to steal a round? What point do you know you've won? Is it better to win early in the fight or late in the round?
If I'm going to fight, I want to win the end of the round.
I would agree.
I think most judges have ADD. We all forget. You know? I don't know what happened 2 minutes ago, but I know what happened 10 seconds ago.
It's the same as shiny.
Exactly. Okay, you chicken.
It's the same reason why fight coaches tell you after the round's over, throw your arms up like you want to. Because, you know,
Put the impression in the head that you want to.
Exactly. I'm not saying judges are impressionable, but judges are impressionable.
You have to be a used car seller.
Yeah, the judges are impressionable. Diego Sanchez. Need I say more?
I heard a coach all night long. So, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. Keep doing it that way.
Yeah.
You're winning this fight all night long. And the judge is looking at him, going, yeah. He wasn't really winning the fight, but he was.
In his mind, he was. So Corey Vale's ground control really, I think, overcame Marcus Fisher's striking. Rob, I think you had probably one of the best vantage points out of all of us this evening, whether it be behind your camera lens or not. And I think we all agree that Rob takes probably some of the best combat sports photography of anyone in the area. I think they had a great vantage point.
Yeah, I agree. We agree on that.
All right.
Moving on.
Harlan Dika versus John Rarick. John Rarick, of course, was supposed to take on, he was supposed to have an opponent at the last Gladiators of the Cage event in Johnstown. His opponent no-showed, and then it was discovered that his opponent was actually a spectator at another fight. Tonight, Rarick took on Harlan Dika. You didn't know that?
No, I did not know the backstory.
I didn't know the backstory until tonight, so, yeah.
At what point do you realize, like, I have no interest in being respected as a fighter than to do that?
Oh, let's talk about vantage point that we had. I just want to give out a shot. Scott Benton, thank you very much for the vantage point tonight. I appreciate it.
Everyone, Scott, Robert, Josh.
Oh, yeah,
they all take great care of it.
The one guy, he has a kind of half-shaven, real tall, much taller. It's not hard to do. Drew does it, and he's 106. him and Scott took real good care of me. Got me set up early. Sorry, other guy didn't catch your name, but thank you very much.
So Harlan Dika versus Dika takes on John Rarick. The last time we all saw.
Now, I'm the one that doesn't know anything about MMA. You can't even pronounce the guy's name right. All right.
It happens. Well, I do know it all.
Litigious.
Shut up.
John Rarick takes on Harlan Dika. Last time we all saw John Rarick fight, he dropped a heartbreaking loss to Dan O'Neill. It was quick, it was short, fast, and John Rarick's a passionate human being. When he trained for that, he had an emotional reaction, and I understand that. I completely sympathize with the guy. But the John Rarick who came here tonight to fight came tonight to win, and that's exactly what he did.
He just outclassed the guy. What you had was you had the regional UFC. You had a hybrid fighter fighting a guy that's a traditional karate fighter, and that's it. I mean, the only thing he was missing was his gi.
Yeah.
I mean, he was missing his American Dote gi.
But John Rarick, he trained hard. He trained hard for Johnstown. Johnstown fell through, so he did all that training for essentially nothing. But then he kept that ball rolling. John Rarick comes out tonight, he's got great footwork, great handwork, great head movement, and I don't want to say completely smash Harlan Dika, but 9 seconds into the second round,
he was broke from the first.
Look,
Rarick was hungry, and it showed tonight. And that hunger was satisfied.
And Zach Schultz in his corner.
Kudos to D cover coming out.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but I think this is a classic example of straight karate, nothing else.
Full sparring, full contact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
When you're doing like snap kicks to the side, you can hear the difference in the kick. Like one was like a you know, you hear
Right.
that slap, and then the other one's more of like a thud in there. I mean, you know what one leaves, the more lasting damage.
You could just tell he wasn't ready. I mean, like,
He has a
I
ton
made
of
it-
heart getting in there.
Oh, he
Yeah.
did. You know, I don't want to bash him. You know, he comes from a very traditional school. When you wear cargo shorts into a cage, you got to know that they're not ready.
Well, I mean, like, unfortunately, we have the burden of bear that we know of a couple fighters who have gotten in the cage by no intention of ever fighting.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, you know,
Plenty hard.
we've seen fighters who have gone in with no intention of ever throwing strikes, but that was not Harlan Dickey tonight, unfortunately, for Harlan, and very fortunate for John Rear. John Rear, he prepared and secured the win.
I mean, give the devil due. He went in. It was a fairly decent crowd.
Yeah.
Hell
It
yeah.
can be very intimidating. I'm
Right.
sneaking in there. You hear stories from your.
And he
I
tried
mean,
to fight the whole time.
Yeah.
He did not give up.
His instructor is maybe a legend.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a famous dude. He really is. So I'm sure he had all that in his head, and maybe he got a little stage fright. Maybe that's what it was. That's possible.
All right, our next bout, Jeremy Sakuda taking on Josh Fremd. This bout, unbelievable. It was an incredible fight.
I was impressed with Josh Fremd at the last North Shores Rising Power.
Josh Fremd, that kid has got solid footwork. He was dodging shots left and right. He was on his game tonight.
He's confident where he's almost threatening being cocky, but not quite cocky. Like, I'm someone that, like, I have zero experience in striking arts, but I do know that if I don't want to get hit in the face, I should probably do this.
Right.
Right. Well, Josh Fremd was very, very confident with his, and he's got great head movement. Head movement that he's put his whole body into. And he did lower his hands a lot. He got tagged once, he's right back up. Jeremy Sakuda, of course, coming off that loss to Dan Kakuda.
No.
Okay.
No.
So, you know, like, you gotta think Jeremy Sakuda's in a mood to get back and get at it. Sakuda had control of striking in the first round, I thought.
Yeah, we were talking about this round by round. We're doing a break.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I'm not impressed with his striking. I didn't think his striking was where it needed to be. I thought from his last fight that we saw down here, that he needed to get better. I think he still won that round.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was where he needed.
Well, I think I said it to the point we both liked was he won that round because someone had to.
Right.
You know, like, it wasn't bad striking, but it wasn't world-class striking. It was a feeling out round. Someone had to get the 10. And it was Jeremy Sakuda. Josh Fremd, though, said second round's mine.
He did. He tore it up. I mean, he went out there and said, look, I'm not going to lay it down. And I remember looking at you saying, wow, it could be. Here it is.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to win this round.
And he was confident, much more confident. The head movement was great. He almost did like some rubbernecking to avoid those strikes. But I mean, that had to have been.
There was some rubbernecking in the third round. But I don't think it was the way it was supposed to be.
Okay, well, okay, Mr. Johnson, let's go to the third round. Jeremy Sakuda was effectively knocked out twice.
Within 9 seconds. He told Chip, I'm good. He got back up, and he wasn't.
That was a scary knockout.
I didn't think he was getting up the second time for a while. I thought he was going to be on the ground for at least 10 minutes.
First time he folded, his knees fell behind him. He got up, and then Josh Fremd knocked
Yeah, as soon as he hit the ground, he got back. It woke him up.
That was I'd probably think we're in flash knockout territory with that first one. But the second one, he was out cold.
Yeah.
He didn't know what day it was. When
He was
Chip went
separated.
over to him, he had no clue.
Separated from consciousness.
The only thing I didn't really like Fremd's movement. Sometimes he was moving straight back.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're moving backwards like this, and someone's coming after you, they're going to gain ground before you get further away.
He started to get really predictable. I mean, you could see it right at the beginning of the third round, or second round, and then the second round, he started predicting he was making a foot pattern. And he was picking off. That's where he got that one takedown. Yeah, well, he still lost the round, and then third round, he just caught off. His coach was like, look, you're doing it.
And I think what was kind of frustrating me about Fremd was Fremd has much longer limbs than Jeremy Sakuda. And,
Got it down.
you know, much longer limbs. And, like, he did a great job of his push kicks were great. I mean, he was able to place those push kicks in the middle of Sakuda's chest.
I haven't seen a push kick like that since Brad Mountain in Ohio when he got shot across the ring.
Right. So if you got a push kick like that in your arsenal, I don't think there's much reason why Jeremy should have been able to get in and get the advantage of the strikes in the first round. But he corrected it, and that fight ended up going Josh Fremd's way with a TKO in the third round.
An incredible bout. And I'll tell you what, as soon as that becomes available on YouTube, you damn well bet you need to watch that. Maybe even we can put it on a future
Did you say
episode.
that backwards? Fremd got the TKO.
Or no, you're right. No, I'm doing good,
No worries, you're doing great, Pat. You're doing great. So,
Pat, that's okay. I'll make
One day I hope to be on a legend.
we'll agree to disagree. All right, coming up, our one and only women's bout of the night, and that featured Ricky Schutza versus Melissa Gaztek. And Melissa, just an incredible fighter out of the Mac Factory.
yeah.
And Ricky, she was making her debut tonight, correct?
Correct. And the interesting thing with debuting amateurs is it's so hard to find information on them. Just like you might have a gym name, but I mean, did they recently transfer that gym to work at a different part of their aspect? I mean, we heard from Melissa that Ricky Schutza was a boxer.
Right.
I mean, what do you do with that? I mean, you assume she's got good hands. I mean, we assume the same thing about Hanomo Osagi and Altoona, and you ended up winning that fight by submission. You know, like you know.
Didn't he put 2 submission wins together in a row, or was it just?
As far as I know, it was the one.
Okay, I mean,
I know he beat Lear. I think he did win his next
He
fight.
beat Lear by.
Okay, I was gonna say we see so many, but
Right.
wow, talk about a
thought he had an armbar.
quick fight.
Yes, it was.
Very good quick. Yeah.
I don't.
Minute
It was a minute 33, north-south choke.
Me personally, I'm a fan of hers. I got to coach her in submission grappling tournaments.
Okay.
I would like to see her go through.
Okay.
Me, because I'm a big fan of her.
Okay.
I like how she moves. I like how she works her high game, goes low.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, she's shooting. Next thing you know, she's throwing submission. Next thing you know, she's working the ball. She's the future of Pennsylvania mixed martial arts.
I feel it's fair.
With her camp,
I
she's
see
got a
here already.
bright future.
Is she only 19?
No, she's not.
There was information that was wrong on the card.
Yeah, I was
We'll clear
gonna
that
say-
up a little bit later on. We're actually going to talk to Melissa Gastek in just a few, so stay tuned for
To say
that.
just a kid.
Yeah.
No, she's not 19.
Yeah.
She's young.
Yeah.
And you know what? This guy's a woman for her. Like, she's training under guys like Eddie Vincent,
Yeah.
Isaac really, the MC and all them.
Here's what impressed me about Melissa Gaston. Understanding that she knew that Ricky Schutza was a boxer. She did a good job of respecting her hands, but not letting that impair her execution of her game plan. So I mean, she did everything right. She pushed her up against cage. She took her down. I mean, those knees came from like somewhere in the stratosphere.
Yeah.
And
They came up high. They came down hard.
The only
Every-
reason.
Like
Good.
Rocket.
Every knee, the crowd reacted. I mean, they were hard. Exactly, it was hard hitting knees.
Well, I'm sure Ricky reacted too.
I'm sure she did.
When I'm up on the perch, it wasn't too far away from me.
Yeah.
This thing place, you could hear the smack of the knee, and you could hear the grunt. What I meant when quick fight, I didn't mean like it was over in the blink of an eye.
No.
I just meant that Melissa came out and she's ready to go. She knew exactly what she was going to do. She went out, she did it. It was quick. She got her down. Like,
She followed her game.
yeah, exactly. Like, okay, here's where she's starting. Here's where she's going to end. And it was just like, here we go.
She paced herself like she was getting ready to fight the full 6 minutes.
Yeah, and she went the whole. There was
Yeah.
no deviation from her plan.
Right.
I know I've said before, and I know I'm biased towards my gym sometimes, but that is the gym to be in this area. If you're out in this area, you need to be at the Mac Factory if you want to go.
I've heard some people saying, I would agree on both sides, that Pittsburgh Fight Club is also another one of those gyms that.
You can say that, you can make that argument.
Yeah.
All I know is you have national champions.
Oh yeah.
You have state champions. You have the hardest hitting wrestlers there is. And then you have a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor, Eddie Vincent, who's off the charts.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is phenomenal. I know I couldn't get past his guard 20 minutes, he's laughing. I mean,
And when you did pass, he had out.
yeah, I think he let me do. The guy's phenomenal. Not that I'm the greatest, but
Right.
I'll tell you what. If I was in this area, I'd be trained. My person.
Now, I just want to put this out there. When you guys say stuff like that, like when I hear Coach Pat say, I struggled with his guard for 20 minutes. Well, I struggle with Coach Pat's guard. Okay, so what does that mean? I'm just going to die. If that guy gets a hold of me,
I had a harder
that's
time
it.
with Eddie Vincent than I did with Rico Rodriguez, than I did with Tom. He is the toughest guy I've ever competed.
Yeah, let's point that out there. Coach Pat, you competed in a lot of grapplers class.
Grapplers class, Naga, Abu Dhabi trials.
Actually on the mat with Rico, former UFC heavyweight champion Rico Rodriguez, and it's an honor to have you here with us. Just having that little side.
Mine, buddy. It's not yours. It's my honor.
Okay, so title fight time.
Yes, Brandon Lux taking on Dan Kikuta for the middleweight amateur title. This was held under advanced amateur rules.
I don't think there was any stage we heard that fight was announced. I think we knew that it was going to be a really, really good fight to watch, regardless of who was the winner or the loser. Right. Dan Kikuta, of course, taking Jeremy Kikuta to the school with, Bionic Fist of Justice. I love that name. Brandon Lux, last time we were here at Stage E, had a really, really good showing against Mark Lieback. Last time Brandon Lux fought, it was against Michael Santini. It didn't go so well. But that's because Brandon Lux is a natural middleweight. I think he walks around somewhere at 200 pounds. Cut him down to 170. I'm sure that took a lot out of the casting. So couldn't really hold that against him as far as predicting how a middleweight title fight would go.
This fight looked different from the Gladiators.
Yeah.
I noticed it was advanced amateur rules.
Yeah.
For the first time, I watched amateurs not fight without shields.
Right.
They had the little karate ankle kind of thing.
Like Danny sport wraps.
And I remember going, well, that's different.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing that. I remember seeing Lux come out and I went, yeah, I don't think he's got it.
You can almost tell when someone comes.
You can tell when I'm a firm believer you can tell a Hammer County guy when they're ready to fight. Dan Kikuta came out and there was no doubt in my mind. I'm surprised he took it long time. But I like Brandon Lux. I think he's a great kid.
Yeah.
I think he has a heart of gold. I think if he put his camp in right, I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just saying if everything went right for his camp, he could make a challenge. It would have been different for him.
Dan Kikuta by nature though was ice cold. I forget who he was fighting, but he breaks up the bone in his hand to the point where it's sticking up like this. We had no idea. Because he kept striking with it. I mean, there was no facial motion.
That wasn't that,
North Shore Rise Power 3, I think.
are you sure?
Yeah.
I thought that was the Sakuda fight. That
No,
he broke his hand.
no, it was the
Okay.
fight before.
Okay.
So he breaks like the bone in his hand, and he keeps striking with it. So I mean, clearly the guy's got
He's got that killer instinct.
he's got junk of iron. I mean, that's what you can tell whenever Brandon looks like junk of iron.
Yes.
We talk about it all the time where certain fighters have the ability to cut off that switch.
Yeah,
Brett Schoenfeld's one of them.
yeah.
The kid, you can hit him with a baseball bat. He's good. That's Brett. He's got it chin gold. I mean, you can tag the kid forever.
Well, let's talk. I just want to mention after the fight. So Dan just fought, and
Dan winning in round 1, 226 by triangle choke. We forgot to mention that, but yeah.
See, I was thinking knockout.
So you got to win, obviously with intensity. There's an energy output. So what's he do as soon as he's done? He's thanking his sponsors, he's thanking his team and everything. And you can see that he's winded, but he was well spoken. I actually said to Dan Bogan, I said, "Hey, look, he just fought a fight.
He did a commercial.
Yeah, and he just did a commercial. And it was like on the fly, bang. It wasn't. No, it was. He produced a well, I can't even do it now. I'm tongue-tied. No, he produced
He stopped and see these guys are here. They were glad they do this.
He was well spoken.
5%
Wow,
off.
I'm getting senile in my old age.
We think about guys who have it, and guys who are going to take it from smaller shows to larger stages, whether it be in Bellator or UFC. I have to believe that Dan Kikuta has it.
I don't think he's ready for UFC yet.
No, not ready, but I mean, you
But-
kind of like see in the distance, like,
You can put him in like a Bellator, that house with the shamrocks and that.
Fight Master.
You can put him in that. He'll do all right.
Did that show ever air?
It did.
Did it?
They're on the second season.
No, that's what I meant. Like I heard they weren't. I saw part of the first season, and then I heard that they weren't going to do the finale, and then I heard that the second season wasn't happening.
The second season got put off because they started this. Now they have bar wrestling. Now they have fight club wrestling.
Right.
And you have Shamrock and I believe it's Couture driving around
Yeah.
the country.
Gonna save gyms.
Oh yeah.
But I'm saying Dan Kikuta, like down the road, I could be like,
He's got the tools.
I could see him being in a really good middleweight series for the UFC some days. Not like next week soon, but like sometime soon. I could really see a Dan Kikuta entertaining masses on the
So let's move on to our next bout.
Gentlemen, let's move on to the next bout. This is the main event of our amateur bouts and a amateur heavyweight title fight. Tavares Gordon taking on Steve Mowry. Steve Mowry is a giant.
I'm just going to sound like Joe Rogan right here. Okay, I understand that the referees have a job to do.
Yes.
Okay, that you need to, like, by the rules, you have to keep action going.
Yeah.
And all that. But, and I'm sure you guys have heard Joe Rogan say he hates stand-ups, he hates separations, he hates all that. And Chip's a good referee. He knows what he is doing. If he separated the fighters, he had a very good reason for it. He's reffed way more matches than I ever will in my life.
Sure.
So this is no discredit to him. However, you see a guy that half has someone's back, you know, they have maybe a half hook in or whatever, and they get stood up. Granted, maybe Steve could have been more active, but you know, when you're trying to,
See,
I didn't like the
I agree
stand.
with you at a point, but he comes from Demko martial arts, which we all know is wrecking ball element. That's a wrestling program.
Yeah.
And I mean, with an okay jiu-jitsu program, but that's a wrestling program. That's what they're known for. Their one coach go wrestled for WV. You know, they are a wrestling program. It was wrecking ball wrestling 101. He took him down, couldn't secure the hook. You know what I mean? And so he would put a half-ass submission on to get enough to go. Did he win the fight? In my eyes, absolutely.
I think we're also a little spoiled though that we once in a blue moon have a heavyweight fight here. We in Pennsylvania we are very big fans of bantamweights, featherweights, lightweights to a degree. We'll get the occasion like we'll get welterweight, pretty weight, middleweight if we're lucky. I can count on one hand how many light heavyweight fights I've seen in Pennsylvania, even less so as far as heavyweights go. I think when it comes to heavyweights, and I mean, I'm not fighting at 205 anytime soon. Is what I'm saying is,
What he's saying, he wants to fight. He wants to be a heavyweight fighter in Pennsylvania, and he's ready to go.
Absolutely not.
Call him up. We'll get him in.
what I'm saying, like with heavyweights, I mean, there's certain differences in body mechanics and gas tanks as compared to a guy who's fighting for the fight.
You know, I agree with you. But what I saw from this fight, Tobias came out. You know, and I'm Steve, and I'm looking out and going, okay, this guy's definitely not wrestling.
Right.
You said yourself, he was soft.
Yeah.
But he's got
Is it Tobias or Tavares?
Tavares.
Okay.
he had ass behind him. We all saw he could throw a punch. You
Oh,
shot
yeah.
boxing before that.
Oh yeah.
I'm from the school of what I wrestle and I do jiu-jitsu. Last thing I want to do is hit that big guy.
Oh, yeah.
That kid was thick. He was still like,
If I were Steve Mowry, I would want to get in, take the weapons away from you, and go out to the club.
absolutely. GSP is right and Craig. That's what you want to do in that fight.
Right.
Guess what? You want to fight. It's not entertaining. No, it's not. But I think it's the fight.
I'll tell you what was entertaining was Gordon's corner.
Go ahead.
I think one of the night is, well, if you don't.
The quote of the night is, Bo, if you don't start throwing punches, I'm beating the shit out of you all the way home. Or on the way
to
home.
North Carolina, that's a long way.
You know, I was backstage.
And that was pretty much towards the end of round
And it lit a fire under his butt too. I mean, he started throwing strikes.
I was backstage getting lessons for the interview.
Yeah.
And the coach is still going at it. He wasn't going at Tobias, he was going at the other one. He made him, I think, started.
Calderon.
And he screamed at me. I got nothing to do with you. Hey, you know, he's like, leave. You need to get out of my face or you're going to cry for what I'm going to say. You know, I'm like, wow, you know, like, I get that. It's passionate. You go a 14-hour drive.
Yeah. That's the my job.
They already feel bad enough. They were in front of a crowd. They gave their hearts.
Yeah.
It didn't work for them or it did.
But I'd say neither of those guys had anything to be ashamed of in the losses they had. Right. I mean, if they were to game in and fought at Valley Fight League and not let a single punch against Break Glass, then I'd be ashamed to. But neither of those guys need to be ashamed. I mean, they went in, they fought, they competed hard.
Just from coaching guys and going out to Lake Jersey and all that stuff, you travel that far.
Yeah.
You lose. You can be a coach, man. It's hard work. It
Right.
sucks. You know,
That's a crappy ride home.
that's
All right, gentlemen, what we're going to do right now, we'll just take a little bit of a break, and we'll come back and we'll recap the professional bouts at tonight's event. You're watching Cage Nation TV, the wrap-up, the recap episode of North Shore's Rise to Power 5 here at Stage 8 in
Does that make
Pittsburgh.
it 10 since we both did it?
No.
Okay.
Makes that 5 twists awesome.
We'll be back. Cage Nation TV here at Stage E, Gladiators of the Cage, the North Shore's Rise to Power 5, thank you, Albert, 5 And with me, Melissa Gastic, who is now 2-0. Melissa, congratulations.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the fight tonight. How did you get prepared and just talk about the fight?
Well, I kind of came into it knowing that she was a boxer. That's word of mouth, hearsay here and there. But she was a boxer, and I'm naturally a grappler, and I wanted to get to the ground. So I worked a lot of takedowns at the Mat Factory, and then I also have been training out of Olympus boxing and MMA. It's where the Brute Squad guys train out of, and I've been working on boxing and setting out takedowns, and I kind of combine them both together. And with Eddie Vincent, jiu-jitsu at the Mat Factory, and Isaac Greeley with wrestling, and the guys over at Olympus with their boxing, it just all kind of came together. And I know I set it up and...
You set it up and knocked him down. Submission win, north-south choke, unbelievable. We were so proud of you.
I was real nervous.
Were you nervous? Why were you nervous?
I don't know, I don't have a lot of confidence in myself as a fighter. I think it's because I just don't like hitting people. I like the ground part of it. I know.
Then are you really in the right line of work here?
I know, that's what everybody says, but maybe eventually I'll get used to it, but I just don't want to hurt, too much.
Right.
I believe that you can do the sport without physically
So you would prefer submission than actually?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's understandable.
That's what my game plan was my first fight. I remember when I had that interview with you, you're like, oh, how do you think you're going to win? I was like, oh yeah, second round submission.
And look at her now, 2-0. All right, let's talk a little bit about the women's MMA scene here in Pittsburgh. How do you think that's due? I mean, what do you think the future of the scene is?
I think it's definitely evolving, but it still has a lot more to grow. It's hard to find me an opponent at 125. Eventually I want to drop to 115. I have heels on, but when I don't have heels on, I'm only 5'3".
Yeah, she's about, normally she's like about this.
Like here.
Yeah, there you go. It's easier for you to do
Yes.
this. All right.
But, so, I just feel it still has a lot more growing to do. I know the 135 is really popular around here, and it's, even mine was a catch weight at 130, and, I think it's going good for the 135 pounders, but I like to see more weight classes opening up. And
So you want to drop down?
yeah, I'm at 125. That's what it was supposed to be at, and I guess there was an issue with her making weight, so I agreed to catch weight at 130. But eventually I want to drop to 115 because at my size it seems like it'd be the best thing to do.
All right, now who's next who are you looking at right now to take on as far as opponents?
I really don't have anyone. I don't know, that many 125-pound girls. I know there are a lot of really good girls I've watched in Ohio, so I know July I can't do any fights because I was offered on a few different promotions, but I'll be waiting for the military, so I'm going to be back here in August hopefully. They asked me if I want to come back on in August, so hopefully they'll be able to find someone at my weight, because I think at this point it's not going to be a good idea for me to jump up anymore. I could, end up screwing myself, getting hurt, fighting heavier than I should.
Now, what's going on with the military? What's your, is it top secret? Can we talk about it?
I can talk about it. No, it's just training. I'll be away from Virginia for 3 out of 4 weekends. So, and all those 3 weekends, there's a different fight promotion going on, so I can't do any of them. The first weekend I'll be here, but there's no fights, and I wouldn't take one that soon anyhow.
All right. Well, congratulations,
Thank
Melissa.
you. Thank you
Excellent
so
victory.
much.
Submission win tonight at Gladiators of the Cage. Always a pleasure talking to you. We look forward to seeing you in the cage again.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Cage Nation TV, the recap episode of what?
Gladiators of the Cage, North Shore, Rise to Power, Cinco.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just taking a second to really appreciate the new dynamic. Like we've been putting out videos for a year. A year ago it was you and I trying to
Talk to them, not to me.
It was him and I trying to cut a video in front of Nova 6 trying to tear down a cage, and now we've got a really
Should I have been looking at the camera? I'm sorry. I've been having a round table.
That's all right.
So, pro bouts.
All right, we gotta get into the pro best now. We kicked it off with Ryan Hogan's taking on Jacob Bond.
I thought it was a great fight. I mean, I thought there was dominance.
Yeah.
There was the nicest level change you saw all day long. You went from high to low to high to low, and then bang, there was a perfect shot. And then you had a kid that had the perfect game.
Jacob Bond comes out to the cage wearing red, white, and green Muay Thai trunks. Ryan Hogan's obviously I don't want to say a purist of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I mean, Pat and I had a discussion, like, okay, are we back to purist styles, and how does that work when it comes together? Ryan Hogan's did everything right as far as trying to work for submissions. He was trying to work for finishes. They weren't always successful. They weren't always the cleanest, and they weren't always the ones that I might have gone for. But the fact of the matter is, he was trying to finish the fight regularly. Constantly improving position, constantly trying to finish the fight. It might not have been like the perfect way, but at the end of the day, Bone was able to nullify that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and ground and pound it out.
Yeah, I tell people this all the time. If you're a submission fighter, just because you're on your back trying submissions doesn't make you win in the fight.
Right.
If you're on your back, the judge is thinking you're losing. If you ain't submitting, get the hell out.
Right.
If he ain't tapping, you need to be moving. I mean, that's the matter of the fact is, that's in the MMA. You need to get off your back.
Right. And then, I mean, that's a whole other discussion for another time about, judging and scoring and the bias towards ground fighting. I mean, can you be dominant from your back? Absolutely you can. That's a discussion for another time.
All right. Are we getting into our next bout then?
Sure.
All right, Brandon.
Jacob won, by the way.
I know.
Yeah, Jacob.
Oh yeah. Let's.
That was his first win as a pro, and he was out of New York.
All right. Our next bout, Brandon Wheeler took on Darby Hafferty.
Oh, my eyebrows.
Yeah.
Wheeler, we remember, I think, Wheeler best as far as taking Shane Falco to a limit. The last time he fought here at CJE, Shane Falco's knee was hurt pretty bad from like different submission attempts. Shane Falco obviously got that win. So Brandon Wheeler had to come into this fight ready to prove himself that he is indeed a winner.
Yeah, and there's no slouch losing. It's no shame losing to Shane Falco.
No.
Division II national champion.
Right.
Yeah, and if you put him in deep water and have him in trouble, hey, you know what?
I think when Brandon
Moral
Wheeler
victory.
fought Shane Falco, he had him in a triangle choke pretty bad, and Shane actually picked him up and Rampage slammed him down. So Brandon Wheeler came into this fight tonight with Darby Hafferty looking to get a win. Hafferty I thought looked great.
Darby, he just looked good. I mean, he had that. His elbows were working perfect.
Yeah.
He wasn't the best and dominant person on the ground, but he stayed moving. He stayed working that cut. He got a cut and kept it open.
And that just came in right bullseye.
Well, right. That was the
a
trouble.
doctor stop it by God.
Well, right. That was in round one. That's where the trouble started, and it ended at the end of round two with a doctor stoppage.
And I actually think that when the doctor was checking him out, he couldn't see out of the one eye.
No, he couldn't. In fact, you could tell.
You knew exactly when we knew that fight was going to be stopped is.
Yeah, he held his eyes. He's trying to wipe the blood out.
He's trying to wipe the blood out. I said, as soon as Chip sees that, he's going to say, if you can't see, you're done.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought. I
Chip
thought he
came
would
over and
call
said,
it right
can
there.
you see? And he says, yeah, I can see. He's like, where's my hands? I said, hey, I don't know if the kid can actually see. He wiped his hand. Next thing I know, the doctor came over and went, no, you're done.
That was it.
All right, so let's go to our co-main event. Josh Baker taking on Francis Healy. Huge crowd support for Healy.
Yeah, and this fight did not go the way that the Healy supporters wanted it to go. We agreed that Healy had that Matt Factory pedigree. He was wrestling, he looked good. His jiu-jitsu was a wrestler's jiu-jitsu, I think would be the best way to put it.
Yeah, you know what? Neither one of them were slouches.
No.
Neither one of them can hang their head.
No.
That was an awesome fight. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time going, no, he won. You could have made a case for either one.
Yeah, they trade head kicks in that.
Oh,
fight.
they did, And I thought, Healy might get it because he's the hometown guy.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, that last round, Baker took it, and he made it impressionable. This is mine.
This is one of those fights where we can sit here all night and talk about it, and obviously we won't. Both guys did what they did, went out there with a game plan. Josh Baker was just better at executing it in the judges'
It
eyes.
just wasn't Healy's night.
So we had Baker winning decision.
Yep.
3-round decision.
Yeah, and it was unanimous. It was 3 rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 30, 20.
30-27.
And I was like,
So moving on to our main event.
Gentlemen, moving on to the main event. Eric Calderon taking on Mike Wilkins. And Mike Wilkins also from Pittsburgh and a very, very huge
Wilkins
fan
Electric.
following here.
Way
Go
different-
Wilkins Electric.
way different team though. He trains at Another quality team, Henzo Gracie affiliate, he's a stout. You know what I mean? Great guy.
Was there some beef between them two before that I didn't know
I think that
about?
was pre-fight stuff. I don't think there was a beef.
Because it looked like they were intense, but they were 100% respectful. There was no...
Two guys brand new to a main event. They want to make the fight exciting.
Okay.
I think that's how I go.
They did a good job. It was intimidating.
I think Eric was just like, you know what, I don't care if you are in your backyard.
Yeah.
I'm 14 hours away. Bring your booze on. I'm ready for it.
There you go.
All right.
Round one, Wilkins I thought had the better, got the better of the exchanges. He had the advantage on the feet and the ground. I think he took a lot of that in round two as well. I can't say I ever saw Calderon get the definitive advantage.
Only with his coach yelling. I mean, this is that same coach that
This is the same coach that was in the Gordon fight.
I think that, you know, Stout had his plan. I think his boy had his plan, right?
Yeah.
He did everything, and he landed a perfect, you know, he had a guillotine choke, Alpha Male Stout was perfect. And he slapped it on like I didn't see him.
Round 3, 202. Wilkins with the win by guillotine choke. And that was it. That was our night.
You know what? I will say tonight had one of the best submissions I've seen, but it probably had at least a number 2 knockout in PA history.
What would you say was the submission, the best submission you've seen?
I like that choke. It was quick and it was slick.
Yeah.
It wasn't the prettiest, but you didn't see it coming. That was at an
It was on, and then you're in trouble.
I'd say the knockout of the night would have been Josh Friend laying on
Which
Jeremy
one?
Scooter.
Absolutely.
That was one and two.
Well, to time.
What one of them?
The second one, I think the second one was scary.
So what do we have here? We have a good night of fights. Great night of fights.
Great night of
For here again, stage AE. Great crowd.
Yep.
Everything turned out really well.
Hey,
No
thanks.
problem.
everybody.
Always good having you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Kessler, for sitting on your butt. If you feel like taking another night off, I love fights.
I'll tell you,
Thank
we would love to have you again.
Of course, the Gladiators stage is going to the Hard Rock Casino in Ohio.
In Ohio.
The 19th of July.
19th of July.
Pinnacle. When's Pinnacle coming
It
back?
closes July 12th.
Okay.
And then they
Coming back here at the stage 8 on August
9th.
I heard Dom say he was fighting.
Dom is out.
Donovan Nicholas will be in the main event.
That
So
stirred the crowd up pretty big.
Gladiators in the Cage continues to deliver. Of course, we're honored to be a part of them. Drew, Rob, Pat, I think it's been a great night. I enjoyed hanging out with you guys all day.
Hey, I just want to say it's not quite midnight yet, but happy Father's Day to you.
Oh,
Thank you
that's-
very much.
How soon do
Speaking
you
of
Father's
Father's
Day
Day,
to you?
speaking of
Because you
Father's Day,
still are a father.
We do want to give a shout out really quick.
Michael Gazdick, who's apparently a fan of ours, thank you very much, sir. Michael Gazdick is Melissa Gazdick's father.
Happy Father's Day to you. You got a t-shirt coming. We got to get you hooked up.
Get out and see your daughter fight. I know you don't want to, but she's a beast. She's going to pay your bills one of these days. Get out there and watch her fight.
All right,
All right,
gentlemen.
thank you so much.
That wraps it up for another episode of Cage Nation TV.
We'll see you guys next time.
For Albert Cameron, Rob Lynn, Pat over here, Pat Johnson.
I get a name check.
I give up. See ya.
Just because it's true.
Let's go.